Well, things are certainly heating up as the pressure on those that may or may not be involved in the Epstein saga is heating up. One particular clip that caught our attention was this yesterday. House Oversight Chair James Comer says he is prepared to have Bill and Hillary Clinton arrested if they refuse to comply with subpoenas and testify under oath about Jeffrey Epstein. Comer claims that in every official inquiry he has seen, the Clintons have repeatedly avoided answering any questions about Epstein on record. He says their continued refusal to testify is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Take a listen.
Mr. Chairman, there are two very important people that you subpoenaed early on, or excuse me, that you asked to voluntarily cooperate. They didn't schedule their interviews. Now there's a subpoena. But Bill and Hillary Clinton, if they continue to duck you, will you take them to court? Will you try to enforce a subpoena? Will you go the Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro route?
100%. We're going to go that route. We expect to hear from Bill and Hillary Clinton. Look, Donald Trump's answered questions for years about Jeffrey Epstein. Every day he gets asked questions about Epstein and he answers them in front of the American people. We've subpoenaed Republicans and Democrats. Two Republicans have come forward, Bill Barr and Alex Acosta. They did interviews and deposition, and those were tough, but they did them. They didn't back down. Other Democrats have sent letters that saying they knew nothing about Epstein, which would hold in court if something ever comes out that they did know something, then they've committed perjury there. But the Clintons have never responded. They're the one group in this investigation that's never had to answer questions in front of a credible reporter, and they've never certainly answered questions from attorneys or members of Congress. So we expect the Clintons to come in, or I expect the Clintons to be met with the same fate that Bannon and Navarro were met with when the Democrats were in control.
Let's be really clear here. The answers that President Trump has given in relation to these questions have left a lot to be desired. We were told the files would come out, then we were told that they're a hoax. President Trump intervened when Pam Bondi was asked about this and said, are we still talking about Epstein? Essentially, shame on you, reporters, for talking about this when we have so many wins going on in the country. Now we're being told it's a hoax. We're going to allocate federal resources to investigating a hoax. And then Speaker Mike Johnson as well yesterday said, well, there are national security implications as involved in releasing these files. Well, if there are national security implications, how can that be a hoax? How can a hoax have national security implications? What exactly are they covering up here? And as far as Comer vowing to give the Clintons the Bannon treatment if they defy subpoenas, there's a really easy resolution to all of this. Just release the files, and then you don't have to depend on the Clintons coming in and testifying and potentially lying like we've seen so many in leadership lie under oath. Just release the files and then no one has to worry about them testifying or defying subpoenas. Just give us all the information and then we don't have to play these political tit for tat games, which is what a lot of this is. It's a lot of political tit for tat. And an example of that political theater and political tit for tat is Hakeem Jeffries, who's refused 3 times now to answer a question about appropriateness of Plaskett's Epstein messages. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries avoided multiple questions on whether it was appropriate for Stacey Plaskett to be exchanging messages with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein when he was asked about it on Wednesday. Lawmakers voted against censuring Plaskett, the Virgin Islands non-voting delegate in the House of Representatives, and stripping her of her role on a high-profile House committee on Tuesday over newly surfaced text messages between her and Epstein that were exchanged during the February 2019 congressional testimony of Michael Cohen. CNN host Caitlin Collins asked Jeffries 3 times whether he believed it was appropriate for members of the Democratic caucus to be messaging with Epstein. So we'll play you that response now.
And you heard Stacey Plaskett there. She was arguing her texts with Jeffrey Epstein were not illegal. But in your view, were they appropriate?
Well, Stacey Plaskett is not accused of violating any House rule, any law, any statute. And she's clearly and unequivocally denounced Jeffrey Epstein. And I think what the survivors fought for today is the type of transparency that came out of the House, went through the Senate, and is now on its way to Donald Trump's desk, where hopefully he'll sign it into law, because at the end of the day, all the American people are asking for is just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which is why these Epstein files that Donald Trump and his administration has been hiding for months need to be released.
But do you think it was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
I mean, I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue, because we've been focused today on making sure that there was a decisive vote as it related to the Epstein files and the release. I'm thankful for the work of Representative Massey, of Ro Khanna, but most importantly, the survivors.
Do you plan to talk to her about it?
I think that we successfully defeated a resolution that lacked any basis, was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue to reinvigorate his own failed gubernatorial campaign in South Carolina. It was rejected on a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, I was just asking if you personally believe messaging with Jeffrey Epstein, who is at that point a registered sex offender, is appropriate for a member of the House Democratic Caucus.
That's the third time you've asked me this question, and I'm going to give you the same exact answer. Our focus today is on making sure that the Jeffrey Epstein files were released. If you want to have a conversation with Stacey Plaskett about it, I'm sure she'd be willing to talk to you. It was an illegitimate effort to try to remove her from the House Committee on Intelligence, and that was defeated in a bipartisan way.
So that was a very obvious and clear deflection here. And clearly someone sitting and messaging with Jeffrey Epstein, who was a known child predator at the time, should not be a member of any intelligence committee or anywhere in politics whatsoever. But a very interesting allegation against Hakeem Jeffries came out this week. This is according to Right Angle News Network. Newly revealed email shows Democrat funding group Dynamic SRG contacting Jeffrey Epstein in 2013 to promote then freshman Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, calling him Brooklyn's Barack, while urging Epstein to support a major Democratic fundraising push. Now, as we've said many times, a lot of this is political theater, a lot of political tit for tat. No one in their right mind believes that this is just Democrats implicated, because what has been the most shocking revelation that came out of the 20,000 email tranche from Jeffrey Epstein's estate is that Epstein seemed to have incredible control over politicians, especially that email regarding President Trump and the CNN interview that we reported on recently. Jeffrey Epstein seems to be able to pull the strings no matter which way a political candidate goes. So this person clearly had a lot of power in America when it came to America's leadership, and very likely internationally as well. And a lot of people have been concerned because of the hypocrisy on all sides, by the way, telling us it's a hoax, but it's a national security issue at the same time. A lot of people have had concerns that opening up a new investigation into this, as President Trump directed Pam Bondi to do, was actually going to stall the files. Well, Thomas Massey has posted this for anyone hoping to use ongoing investigations as a reason to withhold the Epstein files. Please read the language of the bill. Quote, narrowly tailored and temporary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It does have a provision in there. Would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution, provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. Basically, to summarize all of this, the people need to keep the pressure on, because this is something that cannot continue to affect American politics. Blackmail rings of this nature, people need the confidence that this has been completely eliminated from the political system, and they need the confidence that those in power are going to put America first before anyone else. America first, America only has become a saying amongst a lot of conservatives, and part of that would surely entail ensuring that politicians are not compromised, and they have serving the American people as their utmost number one important task on their list of things to do. It's very simple. Transparency is the answer. We don't need any more tit for tat. Give us all of the documents and let the American people decide.